We are turning back the clock and we're talking about Sphere Finance. They recently launched Dyson, and I want to go over the different things you can do on Dyson and go over what I've currently done. But before we do that, Sphere Finance has made some pretty good strides, in my opinion. First off, they have launched Liquidity on Balancer. It is no longer on Dystopia. They have about $1.8 million in liquidity on Balancer. That's obviously a good thing because before it was around 300, 400K on Dystopia. So they have been able to migrate over to Balancer. Another thing they've done, they've removed all of the taxes on the token. That's obviously a good thing as well. I actually moved my Sphere from a wallet to another wallet. I completely forgot about the transfer tax and I didn't use the one-time transfer. So all that to say is I lost money on those transfer fees, but all of that is now gone. And recently they launched their Dyson protocol or platform or project or whatever you want to call it, and this is essentially a yield optimizer, a yield maximizer, and they offer a bunch of different pools on here where you can go and put your money into it and make some yield on top of that. If you are familiar with Beefy Finance, this is kind of a competitor to Beefy. Again, Beefy is a yield optimizer. They are categorizing Dyson as a yield maximizer, but essentially it is the same thing. Now, if we take a look at the different pools on here, we're first going to start off by talking about what you can do with your Sphere tokens if you are willing to lock it up for 16 weeks. Not too sure why it says 17 weeks. I think it's 16 weeks. But nonetheless, if you are looking to lock up your Sphere token and get an APR of about 12%, this is probably going to go down as more and more people actually deposit into this. But again, I've deposited my 164,000 Sphere into this, or 165, and I'm earning some Wrapped-Matic, I'm earning Ethereum, USDC, USDT, and some Curve tokens. Now you can kind of see the breakdown of the APR. Most of it is coming in Wrapped-Matic, which is awesome. And you must be asking yourself, Eric, how in the world are they generating this? Well, one, they are generating fees on Dyson because, of course, this is a service. And of course, they've also made a crap ton of Wrapped-Matic in the bear market with some of their farming solutions. So they have Wrapped-Matic to distribute out in this form of an APR. So that's how they're sustaining this. And we have some basically saying this. People are asking, how is this going to be sustainable without the taxes? And he says the hard work of the team in farming the treasury during the bear market and growing it to what it is now, feeding the yield that you are all earning, and now from fees from Dyson contributing as well. And they've basically said that they've planned this from the beginning. So that's how you are getting that APR here. Now, this is essentially just your Sphere. If you want to go ahead and lock that up there, entirely up to you. I am not a financial advisor, so you guys do whatever you want with your own money, but I have gone ahead and locked up my Sphere in there to date. Now, something else you can do with this farm is you can actually compound your earnings if you wish to do so. And if you select this, what's going to happen is that the Wrapped-Matic is actually going to be sold into more Sphere, and then it's going to be redeposited into this farm. And you can actually see all of these different balances. So if you do opt to do that, you're not going to be locked up for 16 weeks on your original deposit. All of these additional deposits are going to have their own lockup time. So it's not like your initial deposit is going to be locked for more than 4 months, but all that to say is you can either decide to claim or you can compound. It's entirely up to you. Now, if we just take a look at how much money or how many tokens have been locked up into this contract, if we go ahead and look at this, we can see many people are still locking up their tokens. And if we go on to the actual amount, we can see that about 1.5 billion Sphere has been locked up in there for 4 months. And as you may or may not remember, there's about 6 billion tokens in circulation. if I remember correctly. So let's just go and open up the app here and understand what is the circulating supply. So about 7.67 billion, and about 1.5 billion has been locked up. So a lot of tokens being locked up, obviously a good sign. And now if we take a look at more of what you can do on Dyson, here we see all of the different pools you can provide money to, and you can see the different APYs. Keep in mind, these are obviously going to change. It's always going to vary depending on the fees that they generate, the TVL, and all of that good stuff. So for example, if we just take a look at an APY, the highest APY farm, you can see it's actually Wrappedmatic USDT on Uniswap, and this is them doing concentrated liquidity pools or providing liquidity in concentrated liquidity pools. That is all complicated, but Dyson makes it easy for you because you deposit in there and then they manage your money. So you don't have to constantly check if your liquidity is within range. And if you're not familiar with concentrated liquidity pools, definitely read up on it, but it's essentially providing liquidity to a specific range on a specific asset. So for instance, Wrappedmatic and USDT, you could provide concentrated liquidity pool when Matic is from $1 to, let's say, $1.30, and then you provide liquidity upon that range. So if Matic is in that range, you're going to collect fees, but as soon as Matic is no longer in that range, you would have to adjust your range. But here, Dyson makes that all automated, so you don't have to worry about anything. And if you want to deposit into a strategy, it's pretty much very simple. Either you deposit the liquidity pool token, so half of Matic, half of USDT, or you can zap in whether you want to zap in with Matic or USDT. Again, that's going to depend on your pool, and you can also go ahead and withdraw whenever you want. So if we go ahead and give you guys an example of depositing into one of these pools, let's go ahead and use the one that has the most TVL, because why not? Averaging an APY right now of about 1200%. So let's go ahead. This is Wrappedmatic and USDC on Uniswap. It's 5 basis points, which basically means that this is charging a 0.05% fee on trades, and that's going to be given to liquidity providers. So let's go ahead and provide liquidity into this pool. So since I just went ahead and I converted 10 Matic into 10 Wrappedmatic, and remember, you need Wrappedmatic and not Matic, so you're gonna have to wrap it. But I only have Wrappedmatic, so I'm gonna zap in with Wrappedmatic. As you can see, I have 10 here, so I'm gonna go ahead and put max here, zap that in there, and zapping into this pool may expose to impermanent loss. Of course, you have to understand impermanent loss. That is a video on its own, but if you are at this point, I'm just going to assume that you know what impermanent loss is, and it's essentially the loss that you may incur if the value of Matic goes up or goes down compared to the value of USDC. Because this includes a stable asset such as USDC and a volatile asset, which is Wrappedmatic, it can go up, it can go down, and there is a possibility for impermanent loss. So if we go ahead and click this, yes, I do understand impermanent loss, it's going to ask me to confirm my transaction. We're going to go ahead and hit confirm. Of course, there is going to be a bit of gas fee here, and then I'm going to have to confirm this in my ledger. So let's go ahead and do that. Approve, 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 send all of my money right now. That should be going through. As we can see, this is pretty cool too. They kind of have the approval, the pending. This lets you know exactly what's happening with your transaction. You don't necessarily have to go on Polygon Scan to go see what's happening with your transaction. So we're going to let this go through, and then we're going to see what happens. Now that was just the approve. I also had to go ahead and confirm the zap. And when you are going to be zapping, what it's going to do is it's going to split that asset in half, because of course this is a liquidity pool. You need 50% of both of these tokens. So like it did, it went and did $4 of USDC and about 6.5 wrapped matic for a total of about $12, which was in fact the value of 10 wrapped matic. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to track how much money I'm getting from this $10 or $12 deposit. The APY is about 1200%, and this is an APY. Of course, it's going to vary, but this is essentially how you deposit into a pool. Now, it's super easy, and you can also track everything. You have the strategy address, so if you want to take a look at that and what the strategy is doing, obviously on the Uniswap side of things, so you can see they're adjusting different things, setting the range, and so on and so forth. If you go to the vault address, you can see everybody who's depositing or withdrawing from the pool. You can do and see that, and you can see obviously the wrapped matic and USDC contracts. So that's essentially how easy it is to provide liquidity to a concentrated liquidity pool on Uniswap via Dyson. This is all done for you. You don't have to do anything to make sure that your money is in that specified range. It's all going to be done for you. And if you want more information about Dyson, they have a massive amount of documentation. So definitely take a look at that. I am going to be leaving that in the description below. They talk about the vault, which we just looked at. They talked about the position management and how they are managing the liquidity for you. Exotic strategies, which are essentially using more than one vault. And we have the liquid market, which is essentially utilizing your YL sphere for providing your sphere into that sphere earnings pool. You can have governance on what Dyson decides to do. And of course, you have that said sphere earnings pool, which is this one here, which I am providing to. I have a receipt in YL sphere for doing so, and I can go ahead and have a say in what Dyson plans on doing. So that's basically Dyson in a nutshell. If you have any questions and you want more information, definitely leave me a comment, join my Discord, do whatever you want to do to get my attention. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace.